So today is a super chill day here in Bloemfontein. The weather is very depressing. It's your typical stay at home weather. Luckily, I'm not working this weekend, so I thought let me take the time to share another video with you guys where I talk about dividends, what they are, how it works, and is it something that you as an investor should consider including in your portfolio. With that said, thank you guys so much for the support lately. It really helps to see that people are interacting with my videos and commenting and asking questions, which is great because that's the only way you can learn. I'm just a random dude on YouTube sharing my experience with you and sharing the knowledge that I have, and this doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes, and that's the whole purpose of this video, is for all of us to learn together. With that said, let's jump straight into it. So what is a dividend? A dividend is basically a payout from a company to a shareholder. Put simply, when a company does well and their revenue increases, they will take some of their profit and pay it out to us as the investors. What this basically means is a company that we invested in will pay out a certain amount every year to us as the investors. We need to understand that not all stocks are the same. We get dividend stocks where they will pay you a certain amount yearly. Then we get stocks like value stocks where the underlying value of the company is so big that you know your money is safe within that company. Then we get growth stocks where the company's revenue isn't necessarily so big at the moment, but the growth potential for the company is huge. So today we're only going to focus on the dividend stocks and why it is something that we should consider. So in a few minutes, I'll share with you guys some great dividend stock examples. I actually own shares in some of them, and the other ones I wish I invested in them earlier because the stock price is just too high right now. So now we know what a dividend stock is, so we need to figure out how it works. So it's important to understand the terms that is used with a dividend stock. And the easiest way to figure out how much you will get paid when you invest in a dividend stock is either with the dividend yield or the dividend per share. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys where I show you an example of how we can calculate this. And this is something that you can use when you look at a dividend stock. So I'm going to show you guys an example. So let's say we invest in company ABC, which pays an annual yield of 5%. And in this example, we are investing 1,000 Rand. And it's quite simple. Basically, we multiply our investment cost with the annual yield, which means yearly we will receive 50 Rand. And so this is calculated with our dividend yield. The other way we can calculate how much we will receive is by using the dividend per share. So let's say, for example, company XYZ declares a 3 Rand per share dividend. The way we can do this is, let's say, for example, we bought 1,000 Rand worth of shares and one share is equal to 100 Rand. This means that we own 10 shares and we just multiply this by the per share amount, which equals 30 Rand. So this will be your annual dividend. So this is just a quick explanation of how the dividend calculation works. So I'm quickly going to show you guys an example of one of the companies that I invested in that paid a dividend beginning of April. And I'll share my screen with you guys. So the company is MTN, and this is just the recent transaction history where it shows the exact amount that they paid out. And here we can see it was paid out on the 4th of April. It shows dividend MTN and it shows at 300. This basically just means 3 Rand. And here we can see the amount that I received was 1,065 Rand and 70 cent. So I know exactly how much shares I own in the company. So I'm just quickly going to show you this calculation. And just remember that the amount that I received was 1,065 Rand and 70 cents. So I own about 355 shares of the company, and the per share amount that they will be paying out is 3 Rand. So we multiply our shares with the per share amount, which is 3 Rand. And here we can see that they paid out 1,065 Rand. Okay, this is obviously just an estimate, there's cents and stuff, but this will just give you a good example of how easy this is to calculate. Another thing that we need to understand with dividends is we do pay dividend withholding tax, which is 20%. So here we can see on the transactions, it's 213 Rand that they deducted from my initial dividend amount, and the actual amount that I received was 852 Rand. So we pay tax on the initial amount of 20%. So just remember to calculate that as well. So yeah, that's one of the bad things about receiving a dividend, but still it's a great way to receive a passive income. So you might ask yourself, how will we know when the company will pay out a dividend and how much they will pay out? So this is one of the things that I love about Easy Equities, is because we can get all of this information from their blogs and websites. So we can just go to Google and search for Easy Equities dividend calendar, and we can scroll down where we see, let's say for example, here it shows blogs, Easy Equities, February and March 2022 dividend list. So you guys obviously know that MTN is one of the companies that I invested in, and what we want to do is I'm just going to click on dividend updates and go to March, April and May 2022 dividend list. So now I'll see all of the companies that paid a dividend within these time frames, and let's search for MTN. I'm missing it. There we go. So here it shows MTN Group Limited will be paying a dividend of 3 Rand per share. And here it shows the payment date, which is 4 April. And like I showed you guys earlier, it was that exact amount, so we know that it's accurate. If you can't find it this way, you can literally go onto Google and search MTN dividend. Let's say MTN dividend. So you can use the Google Finance section as well. Here we can see the dividend yield, but we want to figure out what the per share rate is. So let's just search, my typing is very bad, MTN dividend 2022 date, and let's go into this one. Very slow. So this is Morningstar, but you get other websites as well. And here we can see the payable date is 4 April, which is correct, and the cash dividend is 3 Rand. So here it actually shows the trailing 12-month dividend yield as well. So yeah, that's basically how we can calculate the dividend and where we can find the relevant information to do the calculations. So with all of this information that I shared with you guys, you might feel like, yo, this is a lot of trouble. But is this something that you should consider including in your portfolio? So I personally don't own a lot of dividend stocks, and it's mainly because the prices of these stocks might be too high for me personally, and I can't necessarily invest in it if it is at all-time highs. That doesn't mean you shouldn't invest in dividend stocks. So the reason it's a good idea is because you get paid an annual dividend passively, and the price of your share price will still rise. You are basically making money in two ways, which is great for someone that wants a passive income. There's a few things that we need to be aware of when investing in a company that identifies as a dividend stock, and we need to find out what is the payment history or the dividend payment history of that specific company. If a company pays a dividend every second year and then it goes up and then it goes down again, and then one year they don't pay you and the other year they pay a massive amount. This isn't necessarily a good dividend stock. And a great example is Coca-Cola. I'm representing them today. This is a company that has been paying dividends year over year, and every year the dividend increases. This basically means that the company's revenue keeps growing, and it's a great indication that it's a good dividend stock. Coca-Cola itself is known as a dividend king, and it's one of the companies that's really trustworthy, and you know that you can park your money in for a long period of time. So we get stuff like dividend ETFs, which is created to pay you a bigger dividend. And another thing that we just need to be aware of is that a bigger dividend yield isn't necessarily a good thing, and it might be an indication that the company is trying to buy its shareholders' approval. There's companies that paid out big dividends which they just couldn't sustain, and when they announce that they can't pay a dividend, it will result in the share price going down quite quickly. So overall, dividends is a great way to diversify your portfolio as well, because it means if the company's share price isn't doing too great in that term, you will still receive a payment from the company. So I'll show you guys some examples of companies that I would suggest. Please, if you consider these companies, do your own research to make sure that it's a good company to invest in. And this is just a quick example so that you guys can know where to get started. So the first company is obviously Coca-Cola. Let me just show you guys this. And here we can see they are paying a dividend yield of 2.76%. So Coca-Cola overall is just a great company to invest in. When we look at their financials, let's click on annual. Here we can see their net profit margin is 25%. So this is great yields. And it's literally every year. It's very stable. So this is something that we have to look at when investing in a dividend stock, is sustainability. Another one is one from South Africa, which is Standard Bank. This is a company that I'm not invested in at the moment, and I wish I invested earlier. So when I started analyzing the stock, it was around December last year, and the price increase is around 32% already. But anyway, with that said, here we can see the dividend yield of Standard Bank is 5.02%. You get paid more with Standard Bank when you invest in the company itself than you would if you invested your money in the actual bank with like savings accounts and stuff. Let me think. Another example can be something like the JSE Limited. They pay quite a big amount. Let's see, 6.74%. This is huge. So yeah, this is something that you can consider as well. Another good investment is something like McDonald's. Here we see they pay a dividend yield of 2.20%. Again, if we look at their financial performance, check out their profit margin. It's 32.49%. This is crazy. Okay, so let me show you a company that hasn't, or that, let me show you a company that pays a dividend, but it's very small. So Nvidia, you probably know Nvidia. It's a great company. This is probably the future right here. So here we can see they show the dividend yield is 0.07%. So this is nothing. So this company pays a dividend, but it's not a dividend stock, if you understand what I mean. So another example in South Africa would be like Remgro. They pay a dividend yield of 0.74%. So this is an investment holding company, so it's a different vibe. So these examples that I shared with you guys is just some suggestions that I have, and it doesn't mean that you should just jump into them and invest in them. Do your own research and determine whether it's a good investment or not. But this is a good starting place, and some of them are well-known companies. So I hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, consider subscribing to my channel. If you stayed until the end, thank you very much. Like this video and share it with friends and family that you know will appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video, and happy investing.